Hi there, my name is Alan Lamont. I'm bringing a message on the power of the Vatican over world politics. And what I'm going to do now is go in the direction of going on websites, which you can go to, and give you the information and read it off the websites, and then you can go to those websites and do your own research. But evidence and facts brought out by the media on news websites to prove that it is the Jesuits of Rome and the Vatican that control the world government. Now, this website, LDD by a man named Eric Jon Phelps, is a powerful exposure, and he's bringing out direct quotations from Herman von Rompuy, who is a Jesuit. And last year, the President of the United Nations made this quotation, quote, "We are all Jesuits." And in that quotation, the President of the European Union admitted that he himself was schooled and educated by the Jesuits at St. John Bartram College in Brussels, which is a Jesuit university. Also, Von Rompuy talked about there is José Manuel Barroso, who is President of the European Commission. Now, if you go to the website of the Knights of Malta, you will see a picture there of José Manuel Barroso with his Grand Master of the Knights of Malta, Matthew Feston. And you see on that picture on the website, he has the Maltese cross. So the Knights of Malta clearly control the European Union. But also the Jesuits are the ones that control the European Union, because they control Von Rompuy, who was the President of the European Union, who admits to being schooled and trained by the Jesuits. Also, Von Rompuy called this European Union the Jesuits International. So the Jesuits, as I've said for quite a while now, they're coming out in the open and showing that they have the power over all of the presidents, over all of the world leaders across the earth. This used to be hidden. This used to be covert control, where now it's overt. We also have the Pope of Rome being a high Jesuit. Now, to go back to this webpage, and you can read this obviously as I'm speaking right now. Von Rompuy also mentions the President of the European Central Bank, ACB, is a Jesuit, Mario Draghi, who was schooled in the Roman Jesuit College, and the Italian Prime Minister Mario Monti and his Spanish college Mariano Rajoy have also been shaped by Jesuit colleges. Von Rompuy then cheerfully added, "Fortunately, there is Angela Merkel, the stubborn daughter of a vicar, who is a Protestant, from the former DDR, to act as a counterweight." And you can also go on Craig Oxley's website. I don't have mind to read about that, but recently Angela Merkel, and I'll go to this webpage now, met with the Pope of Rome. And this was after Jesuit Pope Francis began to rebuke the leaders of the world for their financial corruption and the financial crisis worldwide, etc. So Angela Merkel is visiting with the Jesuit Pope Francis. Now, isn't that clear who's in control? You have the President of the European Union, trained by the Jesuits, the Chairman of the European Commission, trained by the Jesuits, a Knight of Malta. But why is Angela Merkel even going to talk to a high Jesuit, Pope Francis, about the financial world crisis? Clearly because he's the one that's in control of the world economy. And she met with him to discuss the need for tightening financial regulations. Really, going there to receive orders, really. That's why she went there, clearly. And also, on Thursday, Francis appealed in a speech for a world financial reform, saying that the global economic crisis had made life worse for millions of rich and poor countries. Merkel visited Rome for a few hours, especially to meet the pontiff, and spoke with him privately in his library for 45 minutes, unusually long for a private papal audience. She told reporters afterwards that the scandals and excesses criticised by Francis earlier in the week showed that the vital checks and balances had not been functioning properly. They go to the Vatican to meet with the Pope of Rome because he is the universal monarch. He is the leader of the world. He's the King of Kings. This is the truth. And Pope Francis also made it clear that we need a strong, fair Europe. And I found this message very encouraging, said Merkel, who is head of the Christian Democrat Union, which has a strong Catholic component. What we have here is a one-world government, and what's happening is this movement on the internet to expose the New World Order is having a breakthrough. People are moving away from all of the agents now because they're getting the true facts and they're getting the truth. It is the Vatican, and people used to say this years ago, like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, whereas now people are waking up now, big time. They've heard this and then they've moved away, and now they're coming back to the anti-Vatican movement because they're finding out that this is the true conspiracy. And this other webpage is from a website called Unspy, and here you see Herman von Rompuy and Pope Francis, both Jesuits. There's a lot of people doing some good exposure on this. Thank God for that. Quote, did you know Herman von Rompuy is a Jesuit? Back in September of 2012, von Rompuy spoke to the interreligious dialogue in Florence. The world press did not notice, of course, but the newspaper Catholic Newsblad quoted von Rompuy as announcing, "We are all Jesuits," and the President of the European Council was referring to those prominent European leaders with whom he is developing the architecture for the future Europe. It creates unbreakable ties, so there is a Jesuit international, he is reported to have said proudly. And if you look at that picture, he's actually pointing with his right arm, with his index finger pointing up. That is for a reason. There is a quotation from an old Jesuit priest that says that the Jesuit order is a sword. Its handle is in Rome and its point is everywhere. So that's the point of the sword, and it's also a signal that we're everywhere, and they truly are everywhere. In my last video I talked about Obama, how he received a doctorate degree from a Jesuit university, and he's under the power of the Jesuits of Rome, as is Obama, who graduated from St. Joseph's University in Santa Clara, and Notre Dame is the one that Obama received that Jesuit doctoral degree from. And also Pope Francis, it says, is the first Jesuit to become a pope. And do you know that he rose to the esteemed office on the 3rd of the 13th of the 13th, and a lot of numerology there, which I won't go into because I don't want to get diverted by numbers and things like that. But also there's a website called Before It's in the News, and actually they put some of my work on there, like videos, different things, but it's a good website. Sometimes you get a lot of good information, and as you can read here, I'm gonna finish with this web page and then bring a conclusion, but I've got a few minutes left now. Okay. Thomas Hobbes quote, "The power of Rome is re-establishing the Holy Roman Empire under the guise of the European Union." Have a look at this article entitled "The Spirit Behind the Beast" in a magazine called the Philadelphia Trumpet. www.thetrumpet.com article, European Union, the Spirit Behind the Beast. Here are a few extracts from the above article. Today, a few, admittedly still a very small handful of commentators on the European scene, such as Peter Hitchens, see this reality. The EU is behemoth, built in particular by the Roman Catholic elites of Germany over decades of patient and painstaking imperial effort. It amounts to none other than a literal resurrection of the old Holy Roman Empire, of the German nation, and behind it is the same spirit that empowered the Holy Roman Empire on 6 previous occasions. Do you know what Italian Prime Minister Monti, Spain's Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy, ECB head Mario Draghi, and EU Council President Herman van Rompuy all have in common? Apart from being prominent leaders within today's European Union, they have all the same Jesuit-educated mind. In their approach to the Euro crisis, their education was guided by the same spirit which sought over 4,000 years ago to garner central power over the nations, under the influence of the ancient leader of Babylon, Nimrod. European Council President Herman van Rompuy made an interesting observation when commenting on himself and his Jesuit-educated fellows, all sharing high office in the European Union. During a keynote speech delivered at the EU conference in November 2011, he declared, "Today Mario Draghi, Mario Monti and myself are all three alumni from the Jesuits. Back to basics." Okay. We're at a point now on the internet where the truth is coming out so clearly and it's revealed so plainly that all of these agents are losing their power. Men like David Icke, who I mentioned, John Maxwell, Texie Mars, Thomas Horn, and many, many others that you will know also. They're losing their power because the Jesuits are coming out in the open and showing that they have the control over the European Union, over America, over British politics, over the whole earth. And they used to do this secretly, of course. They used to control through the Club of Rome, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Council of Foreign Relations, but it was always secret. It was always a shadow government, and it was always covert control, of course. Well, now it's in the open, and now that High Jesuit Provincial Pope Francis is the Pope of Rome, this is the real beginning of the New World Order. Joe Biden says that just a few weeks ago, that now is the time to create in reality the New World Order. This is what they waited for, to have complete control. And I'm just bringing out the information for people to research. I don't have to really prove this, do you understand? I don't have to persuade you. The evidence is there before your eyes. So I don't need to convince you on this video. You're not convinced by the facts, then you truly are dumbed down by the media to the point where, you know, I don't know what will wake you up if this video doesn't wake you up. Nothing will. You have the President of the European Union, Van Rompuy, admitting that the whole of the system and structure in Europe is governed by the Jesuits. They're all trained by Jesuits from Jesuit universities. This is the New World Order. Ultimately, it will fulfill Revelation 17. We see the 10 kings give their power unto the beast. Now, who controls today? Who controls? It's not Pope Francis. He is a high Jesuit, and of course, he does overtly control the President of the European Union. That's why Merkel goes to see him for, you know, his command and his instructions, because he controls her. He handles her, he rules her, as he does all of the presidents and heads of state and Catholic sovereigns all across the earth. But who's really in control? It's the beast of Revelation, the Scarlet Beast. You see, the Jesuits are the Scarlet Beast. They have infiltrated the Vatican, they have used the office of the papacy to control the kings of the earth. And now that they have total control, they're coming out in the open, and the next thing is they're going to destroy the Vatican. That's right, they'll do it. But what we see right now is the fulfillment of Revelation 17, where the kings of the earth are given their power unto the Scarlet Beast. That's why all of the leaders of the earth today, even Merkel, recently just visited High Jesuit Pope Francis, who is under orders to the Black Pope. And it is the Black Pope himself who is the Scarlet Beast of Revelation. I'm going to end there. Thank you for watching the video. I'll do more on this just to give more exposure, you know, by websites and so you can go and then do your own research, because we're at a point now where, as I've said, this movement on the internet to expose the New World Order is having a breakthrough, you know. People are waking up in the thousands to the power of the Jesuits and the power of the Black Pope, that he really is the most powerful man on the earth. My name's Alan Lamont. Thank you for listening, and as always, all roads lead to Rome.